to your second reading lesson. My name is Miss Heike and I'm going to be sharing with you some work today about The Worst Witch, which was written by Jill Murphy. It's a lovely book and you can follow along at home. So today's learning objective, so what we're going to be focusing on today is A, to understand some words in The Worst Witch, and B, to give your opinion, so what you think about some of the word choices that the authoress Jill Murphy uses in the story. You will see on the next slide there is some information about having a notepad and paper ready, so that if there are any words that you don't understand or any questions that you might have, you can write those down as we go along.
So here you can see Miss Heike is asking you to have a paper and a pen or pencil. Top tip, it's always a good idea to make a note of any words that you don't know. So let's read chapter 1, pages 1 to 3 together.
Hopefully you are following along with me. I'm now going to read to you chapter 1 of The Worst Witch. Miss Cackle's Academy for Witches stood at the top of a high mountain surrounded by a pine forest. It looks more like a prison than a school, with its gloomy grey walls and turrets. Sometimes you could see all the pupils on their broomsticks flitting about like bats above the playground wall. But usually the place was half hidden in mist, so that if you had glanced up at the mountain, you would probably not have noticed the building was there at all. Everything about the school was dark and shadowy. There were long, narrow corridors and winding staircases. And of course there were the girls themselves, dressed in black gym slips, black stockings, black hobnail boots, grey shirts and black and grey ties. Even their summer dresses were black and grey checked. The only touches of colour were the sashes around their gym slips, a different colour for each house, and the school badge, which was a black cat sitting on a yellow moon. For special occasions, such as prize giving or Halloween, there was another uniform consisting of a long robe worn with a tall, pointed hat. But as these were black too, it didn't really make much of a change. There were so many rules that you couldn't do anything without being told off, and there seemed to be tests every week. Was in her first year at this school. She was one of those people who seemed to be always in trouble. She didn't exactly mean to break rules and annoy the teachers, but things just seemed to happen whenever she was around. You could rely on Mildred to have her hat on back to front or her bootlaces trailing along the floor. She couldn't walk from one end of the corridor to the other without someone yelling at her, and nearly every night she was writing lines or being kept in, not that she was allowed to go out anywhere. Anyway, she had lots of friends, even if they did keep their distance in the potion laboratory, and her best friend Maud stayed loyally by her through everything, however hair-raising. They made a funny pair, for Mildred was tall and thin with long plaits, which she often chewed absent-mindedly, another thing she was told off about, while Maud was short and tubby, had round glasses and wore her hair in bunches. Point you have got a pen or pencil with you and some paper to write your answers on. So having read the first 3 pages of chapter 1 of The Worst Witch, it's time to think about the way the writer creates the setting for the story. The setting is the environment, so the story might be set. as this one is, in an area which is surrounded by high mountains and forests, which is very natural, lots of nature around, and the pupils themselves are described like the bats that are flying through the trees. And we are thinking, what does this make us think? And what does this make us feel? So, if the school is described as more of a prison than a school, can you think about which word choices make us think this? In your answer, we would like you to try and write in full sentences. So you might start with, the school is described as more of a prison when the writer describes the ... Question 2. Sometimes writers use the weather to create a mood for the reader. This does actually have a specific name, which is called pathetic fallacy. We don't need to worry about that just yet. So this mood, which is created by the weather, might make us feel a certain way. So my question to you is, what is the weather like at Miss Cackle's Academy? And how does it make you feel? So can you find the description of the weather and then write down how that weather might make you feel? We are now on the second page of chapter 1, which you should be able to see in front of you. And question 3 is as follows. So Miss Cackle's Academy for Witches sounds like a bit of a gloomy place to go to school. It doesn't sound very happy, and it certainly doesn't make us think, oh, I'd love to go to that school. Now the first question is, what is it about the uniform that makes us think that the school's a gloomy place to go to? In your answer, try and use full sentences. For example, I think the school uniform sounds gloomy because. What is it about maybe the colour or the style of the uniform that makes us think it would be quite a miserable place to go to school? What you can do is you can pause this here while you write your answer before moving on to question 4. Question 4. Can you describe a school uniform for the witches at Miss Cackle's Academy to cheer everyone up? You could also draw a picture if you would like to, and then label it to make it clear. I would like you to think about your use of colour in your design. We are now on page 3 of chapter 1, and question 5 asks you to think about the meaning of the word loyal. What does the word loyal mean? Maud, who is Mildred's friend, is described as loyal. What does the word loyal mean? Now, if you're not sure, you can always use your dictionary. You can look up the meaning on the online dictionary using Google, or you can use your book, your dictionary, to look up the word loyal. What does the word loyal mean? So Maud is described as a loyal friend who stayed by Mildred through everything, however hair-raising. I would like you to think about the word hair-raising. This is the second question. What does the word hair-raising make us think about about some of Mildred's actions in the school. Again, you might want to use a dictionary to look up this word before you write about Mildred and what kind of person she might be at school to make us think that some of her adventures are hair-raising. Might be a good idea to pause the video now while you answer. And finally, your challenge question. Sometimes a writer uses contrast to entertain the reader. Contrast is when something is very different from something else. So, the best example I can think of is a sunny day compared with a very rainy and thundery day. Your question is to think about how the writer uses contrast in chapter 1, page 3, and what effect this might have. That is your challenge question. So good luck everybody. I hope you have enjoyed the story and have had a good time trying to answer some of the questions. If you have got any questions about the work today, you can always message Miss Heike on Dojo and I'll do my best to help you. Thank you very much and happy reading.